Hello and welcome to the first video on the Scot Tech YouTube channel. This is a user review on the Alienware M15 R5 Ryzen edition. Now at stock, my build has a Ryzen 9 5900HX at 3.3 GHz and it boosts up to 4.6, RTX 3070 mobile, 32 GB of RAM and 1 TB of M.2 storage. The CPU on its own boasts 8 cores, 16 threads and 16 MB of level 3 cache, which is great to see in a laptop. It's top of the range and you couldn't ask for more. The RTX 3070 mobile has 8 GB of dedicated GPU memory, a TDP of 125 watts under full load, and a frequency of 0.78 to 1.29 GHz. Now, this all sounds well and good, but we need to take a deeper dive into the product to understand how it performs, both as a laptop and as a gaming machine. As a laptop, this thing works great. If you're using it as a daily driver, you will have no problems whatsoever. If it may just be for surfing the web, writing documents, video editing, you will have no trouble with this laptop if it is plugged into power. Now, the battery. The battery, however, is a different story. As soon as you unplug it, you're going to want to switch all the settings to power saving mode. You'll be lucky to get 2 hours battery life once you're on internal power. And it's not too surprising seeing as it's a top spec laptop. But I feel like Alienware has really skimped out on the cooling with this model, and I'll talk about that in the next segment of this video. Now, the I/O on the machine is okay. Usually I have all of the ports populated with a mouse, microphone, second monitor, headphones and Ethernet. The network card comes with a gigabit connection port, which is really nice to see, and a good premium with this laptop. Right, on the right side of the laptop you have 2 USB Type A ports which do kind of interfere with the mouse, but not a problem if you mind moving your mouse a few inches further away. It's a little bit annoying, but it shouldn't be much of a problem if you have anything plugged into the right side. On the left you have a gigabit Ethernet port and your standard headphone jack. I would have liked to see separate ports for both audio input and output, but sadly we have just one audio out, which means I had to buy a microphone separately. Anyways, on the back we have our power adapter, HDMI, DisplayPort and another USB Type A, so in terms of I/O it's not really lacking. Okay, so next we're moving on to the temperatures and performance segment of this video, and as you can see the AMD Ryzen 9 5900HX at idle, and I mean idle, I'm just on this hardware monitor and task manager, and well, this is just running in the background. But as of now, I am at 66 degrees Celsius. That's with the fans off, by the way, so it is silent, but it is hot. It is warm to the touch, and it's actually rising. We have a maximum of 80 degrees. That's just from me using it just like this as I am now. The graphics card is currently at 57 degrees with a hot spot of 63 at the moment. And the battery, I've been using this for about 4 or 5 months and it's already worn 10%. So we're already down 10% of our battery level. So if you're using this for gaming, like I do, then you're going to wear the battery quite a lot in a short amount of time, which is, it's not that good to see. Now inside the lobby, as you can see, we are at 80 degrees, which is pretty hot with the fans going full speed. We're getting around 90 to 100 FPS. It boosts up to 120 sometimes. I don't know why, but I do have a screen on the right side. You can't see it in the recording, but I am getting about 120 watts out of this graphics card, which is it's pretty standard. As you can see from the settings I am running it at 1080p. I know the panel on this monitor is 1440p at 240Hz. I forgot to mention that earlier, but I'm running this game in 1080p because Warzone in 1440p on this laptop, it's not going to work well. You're going to run into some issues. It's going to thermal throttle. As soon as the graphics card gets to about 86 degrees, it will thermal throttle heavily down to about 20 watts and about 15 FPS, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's going to ruin your game. But here we are. Here's my settings. As you can see, I'm running on medium to low settings on 1080p, which does perform well. I get fluid experience about 100 to 120 FPS usually. My FOV is on 100, so that's got something to do with it. But it runs okay for a AAA title on low to medium settings. It's about as best as you can get. I've got 3.2 GB usage on the graphics card. So here we are in the Warzone warm-up area, the Archipelago base. So we're just going to do a little run around test for the gaming performance. As you can see at the top left, we are getting 150 to 160 FPS, which is pretty good for the area we are in. I know there's not much to render, but I mean, this is about the performance you can expect around the game. And we're just going to do a little pickup, run around, shoot around, test. We're just running into this little warehouse here. We're going to shoot some targets. So, as you can see, the performance is pretty decent. Now, my final takeaway is this. If you're playing AAA titles, you're going to want to scale them to 1080p for the best experience, running them on low to medium settings. And if you're playing less intensive titles, such as Minecraft, you can go ahead and scale them up to 1440p, but to be honest, there's not much visual difference between 1080p and 1440. So personally, I would play everything on 1080p, just to keep the performance at its best. If you want to use this laptop just for games, I would not recommend this Alienware laptop. I would go for something that has better cooling and performance, as I constantly have thermal throttling issues. Now, if you haven't already joined, please consider joining my Facebook group, Scot Tech PC Specialist. It's basically just a Facebook page where I can advertise my expertise of building, cleaning, and upgrading computers. If you need tech advice on parts what you need for a new rig, I'm your guy. I'll leave a link in the description.